What if Demon Slayer had a happier ending? I wanted to make this video because I've seen a lot of people in my comments wishing that Demon Slayer had a happy ending. And while I already have other videos on my channel where I've made alternate endings where more characters survive, people still want to see an even better version, one where everything works out perfectly. So today, I'm challenging myself. How can I create a truly happy ending for Demon Slayer? The catch is, I can't reuse any of my previous what ifs. So no, what if Yorichi was there? No, what if Kokushibo helped Tanjiro? None of that. This has to be a brand new scenario that leads to a happy ending. So let's get right into it. Right at the beginning of the story, Tanjiro goes to sell coal and leaves his family behind. On his way, the old man warns him about the dangers of demons in the mountains and convinces him to stay the night. When Tanjiro returns the next morning, he finds his family slaughtered, just like in the original timeline. The only survivor is Nezuko. Tanjiro takes Nezuko, and then Giyu Tomioka shows up. That whole scene plays out just like the original. From there, Tanjiro trains under Sakonji Urokodaki, the former water Hashira, preparing for the final selection. Everything up to that point unfolds exactly the same as in the original timeline. After the final selection, Tanjiro's journey plays out basically the same all through season 1. But things really start to change once we reach the Mugen Train arc. For a true happy ending, the most important thing here is that Rengoku survives. And to make that happen, we need backup on the train. We have two options. Send in a stronger Hashira who could actually handle Upper Moon 3, Akaza. That would mean someone like Giyu, Sanemi, or Gyome, or send another Hashira alongside Rengoku so he isn't fighting alone. I think the second option works best, so for this what if, we'll send Gyome Himejima, the strongest Hashira, to join Rengoku on the Mugen Train. When the train battle begins, everyone falls asleep from Enmu's Blood Demon arc, but Nezuko wakes them up. From here, things play out differently. Instead of Zenitsu and Nezuko trying to protect the passengers with Rengoku, we've now got Gyome and Rengoku holding the line. With those two together, they keep the entire train safe, while Tanjiro, Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Nezuko head straight for Enmu, Lower Moon 1. That fight goes much smoother. The four of them cut through Enmu way faster, though the train still derails since his body has fused into it. And then, just like in the original, Akaza shows up. But here's the difference. This time, he takes things seriously from the very start, because Gyome, the strongest Hashira, is standing right there beside Rengoku. So instead of Rengoku fighting alone, we get Gyome and Rengoku teaming up against Upper Moon 3. With Upper Moon 3, Akaza, fighting seriously from the very beginning. The battle becomes extremely dangerous for both Rengoku and Gyome. Any slip-up could mean instant death because Akaza wouldn't hesitate to take advantage of an opening. The fight drags on until sunrise. Once Akaza senses the sun approaching, he retreats into the woods. Even with Gyome present, I don't think they'd be able to finish him off. Akaza is simply too fast and too strong. Some might argue that Gyome could stop him, but realistically, even he doesn't have the power to kill Akaza outright. Not in this situation. In the original timeline, Rengoku nearly held Akaza long enough for the sun to burn him. But the key difference here is that Akaza wouldn't risk stalling or toying around when Gyome is standing right beside Rengoku. Instead, he'd play it safe, avoid being pinned down, and escape before sunrise. So in this version, Akaza lives and retreats. Meanwhile, Rengoku and Gyome return to the Demon Slayer Corps and report everything that happened in their battle with Upper Moon 3. From here, the story shifts into the Entertainment District arc. We're going to keep the Entertainment District arc basically the same. Even if we saved Tengen's arm, even if he awakened the Demon Slayer mark, I still think he would retire. A lot of people in the comments say the same thing, because his wives made it clear that once they defeated an Upper Moon, he should leave the Demon Slayer Corps behind and live peacefully with them. Personally, I think Tengen might have come back for the very last battle if things had played out differently. But for this timeline, we'll leave it as is. So everything in the Entertainment District happens the same way. Tengen loses an arm, he's poisoned, but Nezuko heals him. The fight ends, just like in the original, and Tengen retires from the Corps. So in the next two arcs, we basically keep everything happy. Nobody dies, the story moves forward smoothly, and all the Hashira are still alive. Even Rengoku in this timeline. The Swordsmith Village arc plays out almost the same as the original. Mitsuri and Muichiro still survive, and both of them awaken their Demon Slayer marks, giving the Corps a huge power-up. Then we move into the Hashira training arc. Of course, nobody dies here either. This arc is all about the Hashira pushing themselves beyond their limits and preparing for the final battles. Now the real challenge comes in the Infinity Castle arc. This is where we need to carefully hold everything together to make that perfect ending. We don't have Tengen anymore, since he's retired, but we do have Rengoku, who's been training for months. By this point, Rengoku is stronger than ever, and in this timeline, he even awakens his Demon Slayer mark. The goal here is simple, but tough. Make sure Shinobu survives her encounter with Doma, keep Genya alive, keep Muichiro alive, and finally, in the last battle, we need to ensure that most of the Hashira make it through. That's the foundation for creating the perfect happy ending. So hopefully, Luckily, I don't forget any Hashira this time. I know in some of my past videos, I've left a few out by mistake. Let's break it down, fight by fight. Upper Moon 3, Akaza. In this timeline, everyone survives. Originally, Giyu fought Akaza alongside Tanjiro, but I think we can swap him out here. Instead, we'll put Rengoku in Akaza's fight. Here's why. Rengoku already faced Akaza in the Mugen Train arc and held his ground really well. That role fits him perfectly. So now we have Rengoku and Tanjiro versus Akaza. Tanjiro still unlocks his transparent world / selfless state, and just like in the original, Akaza ultimately brings about his own end. This way, Akaza is defeated, and both Rengoku and Tanjiro survive. Upper Moon 2, Doma, will send in Giyu Tomioka alongside Shinobu. This also works really well since the two of them share some chemistry in the story. On top of that, we'll keep the original characters who fought Doma, Inosuke, and Kanao. With this team, Shinobu doesn't need to sacrifice herself. Here's why. Shinobu's poison continues to slow Doma down. Giyu is the third strongest Hashira, and with water breathing and his 11th form, Dead Calm, he's able to hold Doma back defensively. Inosuke adds unpredictable, reckless attacks that keep Doma pressured. Kanao's flower breathing and her enhanced eye technique give her deadly precision in battle. Shinobu once stated that to kill Doma, you'd need the equivalent of 3 Hashira-level fighters working together, and with this lineup, that requirement is easily met. Giyu and Shinobu are both Hashira, while Inosuke and Kanao together are strong enough to count as a third. So in this scenario, Doma is defeated and none of them die. Now comes the really tough one. Upper Moon 1, Kokushibo. So this time, I've got a solid idea for the Upper Moon 1 fight. In the original story, Muichiro was separated in the Infinity Castle and ended up facing Kokushibo first, while Genya was left watching helplessly as Muichiro nearly died. But in this timeline, things play out differently. When Muichiro is pulled into Kokushibo's room, Gyomei reacts faster and goes with him instead of being delayed. Now, Muichiro and Gyomei are together right from the start. This makes a huge difference. Gyomei and Muichiro can cover each other and survive longer. With both of them pressing Kokushibo, Genya doesn't take the same life-threatening damage he did originally, since Kokushibo has his hands full with 2 Hashira-level fighters. Later, Sanemi arrives and joins the battle. At that point, it's essentially over for Kokushibo. The combined pressure from Gyomei, Muichiro, Sanemi, and Genya is too much, even for him. Kokushibo still has that emotional moment of recognizing his brother Yorichi's ideals before the end, but instead of wiping out half the team, he falls after an exhausting battle. All of them, Gyomei, Muichiro, Sanemi, and Genya, are bloodied and battered, but alive. It's still an incredibly brutal fight, but with these changes, nobody dies here. So in this version, the Ubuyashiki family head still sends the Hashira and Tanjiro's group after Muzan, but to keep everyone alive and in better condition, I think the smartest move would be for them to group up first instead of rushing in one by one like in the original story. Now, let's go over the side fights real quick. Zenitsu versus Kaigaku still happens, and Zenitsu wins with his insanely fast thunder-breathing techniques. For Nakime, the Biwa demon, Mitsuri and Obanai team up and completely destroy her once they realize she's been manipulated by Yushiro. Here's where things change. Muzan realizes Nakime has been compromised and personally kills her. With Nakime dead, the Infinity Castle collapses, but this time, everyone is ejected before they can be trapped or crushed inside. That means all the Hashira survive the castle's collapse. Tanjiro isn't badly injured at this point either, so he can still fight at full strength. Kanao is also still in good shape, and the Hashira as a whole are much healthier going into the final battle. So now, instead of entering the fight against Muzan half dead and exhausted, the Demon Slayer Corps is at near full strength, with all of the Hashira alive and in fighting condition. I love Demon Slayer so much, and after watching interviews and reading facts about it, you can really see how the creator built the story. She was always willing to kill off characters, because she wanted fans to feel something deep. That's why so many characters died, and why the story hits as hard as it does. She even thought about killing Inosuke and Zenitsu early on, but in this timeline, we're making sure everyone survives. So moving into the final battle / sunrise countdown arc, things change drastically. Tanjiro is on the front lines, fighting with the transparent world and sun breathing, but this time, he has help from Shinobu, Muichiro, Rengoku, and all the other Hashira still alive. With Tamayo's poison already weakening Muzan, the fight goes much more smoothly. They still get blasted back, and some people lose limbs, just like Giyu in the original, but this time, nobody dies. With every Hashira still standing, plus Tanjiro never backing down, Muzan is overwhelmed much quicker. He doesn't even get the chance to turn Tanjiro into the Demon King, because the Slayers drag him into the sunlight and finish the fight before he can act. Now, here's the tricky part. The Demon Slayer Mark Curse. Normally, those who awaken it die by age 25. That would mean Gyomei and others would soon perish. But for this happy ending, we'll go with one of the fan theories out there. The curse of the mark is lifted once Muzan is defeated. It's a stretch, but it's the only way to keep everyone alive. So in this timeline, Obanai and Mitsuri live and continue their love story. Shinobu survives, and her sister can rest proudly in heaven, knowing she lived a full life. She and Giyu finally get the love story fans always wanted to see. Tanjiro and Kanao become a couple. Zenitsu and Nezuko also end up together. Inosuke and Aoi Kanzaki, that's her name, finally get their moment as well. Muichiro lives past 14. His bloodline continues, and so does Shinobu's bloodline, which would have ended in the original timeline. All the Hashira, Sanemi, Obanai, Shinobu, Tengen, Giyu, Gyomei, Rengoku, Mitsuri, and Muichiro survive this version of the story. And that's the happiest ending I could come up with for Demon Slayer, without making massive changes that break the story completely. I hope you guys enjoyed this What If. Let me know what you thought, and if you want to see more happy ending versions like this. And don't click away just yet. Check out this video right here, because the algorithm thinks it's the one you'll enjoy the most.